Go ahead. I'm gonna just but
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Black Wealth Project. The Black Wealth Project is a think tank dedicated to eradicating the Black wealth gap. So we have a bunch of Black financial intellectuals that come here every Sunday at 7 p.m. You have myself, you have Courtney Richardson, Corey Kemp, Jimmy Williams, and Malik Carter. So like I said, every week on Sunday at 7 p.m., we're here to talk about various Black issues as they relate to wealth. How's everybody doing today?
Good, man. Good. I'm
I'm
all
doing
good.
pretty good, man. Everything good, man.
So anybody have anything interesting happen this week?
Oh, I had something interesting happen this week. I'm gonna tell you.
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna tell you.
Are you gonna tell us?
So I have been doing a renovation project, or starting a renovation project, and we thought we were going to be able to do a cash out refi, which is basically the house is it's free and clear. So we thought we were going to be able to do the rehab, just doing cash out refi. Apparently, the condition of the property wasn't what everyone thought it should be. So they said, oh no, we're going to switch this refi to a 203K. A 203K is an FHA loan, and it is a loan that's specifically for rehabs. And it's a bear of a loan for a couple of reasons. And one of the big reasons that it's a bear is that every stage, so they give you a schedule, and I shouldn't say a schedule, it's kind of phase of construction. And after every phase of construction, they'll actually give the contractor the check. However, that means you're saying, well, each one has to be certified as complete. So how do you get the contractor started? With your own money. So, for demo work, I'm going to have to pay that out of pocket, and then I'll be reimbursed. But that's not what I want to do with my money right now. So it was kind of like a 52 fake out, and I was really annoyed. And then on top of that, I got my stimulus check for 2018 on a debit card. Y'all.
What? So a debit card from like the U.S. Treasury?
Yes, I got and it's actually issued by Medibank. And the thing that made me super annoyed about it is, one, I went to go enter. So for 2019, I don't qualify. I'm just going to say that, boom, that's it. But for 2018, I do qualify, or I did qualify. And so and what I mean by qualify is that you had to have a certain level of income, under a certain level of income. So I was like, all right, cool. I qualified. And I owed an 18, so they didn't have my bank account information. They did, but whatever, because I had to pay, and that's how I paid, what I owed. So like, we don't have your bank account. So I went to go put it in. It didn't take. Kept not taking. And I was like, okay, fine. They're like, hey, we're going to issue a check. I said, solid. You're going to issue me a check. Now you send me a debit card in the mail? And then on top of that, I have to go to take money out. And then I have a limit of $1,000 a day. Remember, it's $1,200. And so then they're like, oh, anything above $1,000, you get charged a $2 fee. Huh?
Ooh,
so you mean your president is out here fostering financial irresponsibility?
Facts. And I was just, so I could buy stuff with it with no fee at all. And I was like, no, give me my money. Run me my money. I've been saying this for months. Run me my money. So I'm just really annoyed, and it really frustrates me because it's a minor inconvenience for me, but it could be a major inconvenience for somebody else, and right. That's what I'm always concerned about. I'm annoyed. Okay, I'm going to talk about it on the chat. We're going to cha-ha, chi-ki, and laugh it up about it, and we're going to go about our business. But then somebody else might have needed the cash, and now they have an additional barrier, an additional hurdle when they're actually suffering.
Right.
Yeah. So those are my two things that happened this week. That's
you got your letter though, right?
Letter about what? From the government?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. I just got the letter. It actually said like Department of Treasury. It wasn't even a letter from the president. Thank goodness. Now my mother and my grandmother did get the beautiful letter from your president. And that's where we are. So like, you're not going to see me as warm and fuzzy because now I feel like I've added, to my construction time, I've probably added an additional 2 to 3 months. You guys who do real estate probably would know that better than me, but I've also given myself a lot of headache. And now I also have to get a line of credit. to kind of help with this construction process. All things that I did not want to do because I wanted to be in this house, living in this house as of my birthday, which is September 3rd. And that does not look like it's going to happen. So this person, super upset. But that was my week. And it was all finance related. So there you go.
All right. Anybody else have anything exciting happen this week or not so exciting?
Yeah, I'm moving.
Not after that.
Yeah, I'm moving. So I got moving expenses and.
Oh shucks. Oops.
Yeah.
What you
Yeah,
just
not
do
after
to me,
that though.
dog?
No.
After that story, no.
Wait a minute. You said you're moving?
Not moving, but we vacationing with my folks down south. So we
Here he go.
Oh, so you're doing that Black Wealth, Black Elite vacationing thing?
I guess I did it when I was flat broke, but I mean, I could do this. I take my kids to see their folks every summer, so that's what I'm doing. But it's a pain in the butt as far as money is concerned because I don't know how everything is going to work out with this COVID thing going on. It's the first time we tried this with the COVID thing going on, so it's kind of weird. So I don't know what my costs going to be. Normally, I know what my costs are going to be before we roll out. But
right, got you. Anybody else?
No, nothing special, man. I mean, I'm not taking a bourgeoisie trip. I am in the middle of coming towards the end of a flip. So but everything seems to be good. I don't have those issues right now. So, knock on wood. Because I know how the 203K is and I hate them.
It seems like nobody likes 203Ks.
No one.
Okay. All right. So moving along, right? Last week we said we're going to start holding each other accountable in our health journey. So did anybody do anything health related? Run, eat better, walk, get on your bike. Anybody do anything this week?
I ordered a refrigerator for life. I posted the picture. My refrigerator is just all lifed up right now. Working on that. I still did have the half gallon of Kraken in there. That's still available, but that's definitely still on deck. But yeah, small steps. Working on that.
Okay. All right. Go ahead,
I was just gonna say I use my Peloton. I use my Peloton tread every day. You know what I mean? Out here trying to set records on Peloton.
All right.
And shout out to y'all too, because y'all inspired me. Because I know y'all posted a couple things and tagged me on it to make sure that we out here doing what we got to do. So, and shout out to Peloton too.
Okay. All right. Well, listen,
the stock is also up right now.
Yes, it is. I have Peloton stock. It is up.
Yeah, Courtney is like the number one Peloton fan in the world right now. Jimmy might be joining her soon though.
Oh yeah, I'm joining. I'm right there.
You're right behind her. All right. So I've been running. I said I was going to run 100 miles in May. So I'm at like 70. So I'm like 30 miles short of my goal. But pray for me, y'all. This is getting rough. This is getting rough.
I was about to ask you. You gonna try to get that last 30 in?
Yeah. That's
in a week. Oh, you're a boss.
Yeah, that's the goal. I need about 5 miles a day.
Okay.
So
it's not really bad though. I mean, 5 miles a day.
Nah, it's not.
It's not really bad. I mean, I don't run. I wouldn't dare put that kind of pressure on my knees.
Well, I do a combination of running and walking. I'm doing what's called heart rate training. So when my heart rate spikes to a certain level, I'll stop running and I'll just walk. This is all about just working out the heart for me right now.
Oh, good. But Malik, you should get a Peloton. I have a torn ACL and meniscus, and it's great. It's low impact.
I gotta get a PPP loan to get a Peloton.
No. I thought we covered that last week. I thought we covered that.
Yo.
But it's no finance. It's like it's 0% financing. You can pay like $50 a month.
I'm trying to get my debt down. I just need to honestly. I need to get outside. I need to like actually, do it. My problem is like if I'm not out at the house by 6, it's a wrap. Because being the main provider for my kids, my wife, like she's working from home, but she got like real work to do, so like, and her first meeting is at 8:45. So right, so if I haven't done it by 8:40, it's not gonna get done today.
Peloton. I think that's a great thing about the Peloton. You can do it at any time during the day, and you can
that's true.
doing it at night. So I think, but here's my thing, and I think you make a very valid point that I think we need to address, because I think we don't address it enough. You can't be the best you for your family and your best provider if your health is not where it needs to be. And I learned that the hard way, because my mom was diagnosed with stage 4 ovarian cancer in 2018. So of course, me as a caretaker and a caregiver, I let my health go down. And that's something that we have to, but the thing is that so many of us are caretakers and caregivers, and we allow our health to go to the wayside while we're caring for others, whether it's be physically or financially or whatever. And we have to be really careful about that, especially as Black men. Your timeline is a lot shorter than a lot of other men and ethnic groups. So my thing to you is, I want you to be a good steward of the body that you were given. And part of that is getting your body moving. So whatever you have to do, I don't care if you have to, I don't know, run at 3:00 in the morning, actually get a Peloton or something that's in the house that you can kind of sneak away for 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there to get it done. So, I mean, I'm going to challenge you, and I'm going to lean on you a little bit. I mean, I talk about the Peloton because I think it's just very helpful, especially during these times. But it's something you got to do something and commit to something that works within your schedule.
Listen, and I agree, right? And I know for a fact that almost every health issue that I have all comes from food. Period. Like there's no ailment, like there's no ache, there's nothing wrong with me that is not food related, and I know that, right? And I still continue to make bad decisions. But once you get into the habits, I just got to get that mindset and like really be willing to go to the next thing. Like I'll do something, I'll stick to it, and then I'm just off of it. Especially when I'm in the street. When I'm in the streets, forget about it. Like I'm in the street and I wait till I get hungry. Like the healthiest thing in the street, like might be the halal dudes. That's probably the healthiest thing in the streets. Really. Other than that, even if you order like a grilled chicken Caesar salad, you might as well eat a hoagie. What everything they put on it, such the same exact ingredients. It's just different form.
Yeah.
The fruit smoothie people, right? You think you're eating good, but they dumping a whole bunch of sugar in there.
A ton of sugar. A ton of sugar in there, right?
So here's the thing.
That's why you got it.
I get smoothies shipped to me by a company named Revive. I absolutely positively love them. And there's two smoothies that are actually considered keto friendly, which are low in relatively low in carbs and high in fat. My favorite is like a lean, I think it's called like the mean green, which has avocados. It has, I think, celery. It has like some really good, and it actually doesn't taste bad. And it's on the opposite end of the sugar spectrum, but I think you can get smoothies that aren't high in sugar, because I agree. Everybody's like, I'm going to put a banana and some pineapple and some mango. And it's like, yeah, it's delicious, but it's like, it has like 100 grams of sugar. Come on, player. You're going to take it in and then crash immediately, because it's just the same thing as a sugar high, because it is a sugar high. But I mean, you can also make good smoothies with some sea moss gel. And I mean, we can do a lot of things that just require a little bit more thought. But it's also, I think you talk about a really good point about consistency. Consistency is really important. Like it's kind of doing something when you don't feel like it. I don't feel like hopping on the Peloton I don't pop on every day. It's like, but for the most part, about 5 to 6 days a week. I mean, this week, I think you asked earlier, Kamari, I did about 65 miles. This week.
Okay, that's what's up. You're supposed to tell us that in the beginning.
Right, you got the Peloton bike with a Peloton treadmill.
Oh, I have a bike. I have a really bad, I may have to get a knee replacement. I have a really bad knee. So I tore my ACL meniscus in 1997. And even though I had rehab and stuff, has not been quite right. So I don't have the tread, and tread's really expensive. But I see you, baller.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's hold that.
No, I'm broke, baby. I just want to say one thing real quick though, Malik. I know the Peloton was rather expensive, but it's a game changer, because I've actually gotten more movement with that than I have, probably the previous couple years, because the way I looked at it was we all have been there where you have a gym membership, but you never use it, and you always say I'm going to go and I'm going to go. So I got way more activity having a Peloton, right in the house, as opposed to and even in the beginning, even that was still hard because it's all about making yourself do stuff that you really don't want to do, but after a while, it becomes part of your lifestyle. So having it right in the house is a game changer, even though it is rather expensive. But some people pay $80, $100 for a gym membership and never use it.
Never use it. It's true.
Yeah, that's true. So I want to show y'all something real quick. This will be my segment for what I thought was up for this week, what was awesome for this week. So we talked about something last week. Somebody came up with a great idea last week, and he actually executed on it. So kudos to Malik for a Vegan to the Weekend shirt that's out in the street.
My man's in there.
Vegan to the Weekend.
I need one of these. Right, we all got to wear one for the show and coordinate.
No doubt.
Right.
Hey, listen. Shout to
the pink.
Listen, I sent Tracy. I sent you the link to the pink one. Hey, listen. Shout to the people that actually already bought it. I appreciate you. I really do.
Right. He said, I sent you the link. Not I sent you the freebie. I sent you the link. He getting this pink.
Yeah, my man.
I ain't mad at him.
Yeah.
Listen, man, he got art appraisals to pay for, man. What y'all doing, man?
Yeah.
Like honestly, I'm gonna say this real quick though. Like, listen, once it
Malik, you there?
it get paid and the earth is big, you worthless kid. It's like you can literally think of an idea, create it, go to Teespring like I did, money in 3 days. Now I have a viable business in 3 days. Like, it's so easy to make money right now.
And that's what I was going to say. I mean, you had an idea, you executed on it, and now you're making money. That's what's up.
But I will say this: I had
You're breaking up, Malik.
never put it out.
I think
I had the design like 2 months ago.
Okay.
Yeah, the design was done. Design was done 2 months ago. I never dropped it. That's it.
All right. Well, kudos to you now.
But now it's out. Vegan to the Weekend.
Vegan to the Weekend.
A whole new. I might listen when I lose some weight. I might write a book called Vegan to the Weekend. Like really get at it. You can have a course, a book, all that. Meetups.
Don't put the whole playbook out there, man.
Right. Are we trademarking that?
But here's the thing. Now you got to do it. You put it out there, so now you got to do it.
Yeah, now I got to
do it. Be about their lifestyle. So all right,
you about to do a TED talk. It's TED talk called Vegan to the Weekend.
So hold on, folks. We don't want to be bad guests, so let's say hello to everybody that's joining us. Sharita Maxey.
Hey.
Hello to Tracy Doel. We know that's real estate, Tracy. Don Johnson, how are you? Welcome. Somebody, Dave Foster. Oh, Dave Foster said something that I thought was very interesting. 3,000 for a Peloton. No, dog. Dave Foster is an avid biker as well, and he actually uses Zwift. He's been telling me about Zwift. So, I don't know what the difference is, but I know it's out there. What's up, Dave Sims? This isn't a Zoom call. This is something a little bit different. We do our best to try to interact with the audience through comments. At some point, we will have a big old gathering. We'll have everybody come in and talk. Don Johnson said health is wealth. Mm-hmm. Health is wealth, 24/7, 365. Hello, Mr. Robert Lewis. How are you? Ebony Galloway, thank you for joining us. Dave, we already said hello to you. Let's see. Carl Davis, good convo, healthy eating, and good our body in motion. So Carl Davis is a friend of mine. This dude runs bikes or swims almost every day. Garen Williams says, hear me, this Corvette is killing brothers. That looks like us. I'm shifting things up. Hey, man, sir, I salute you for that.
So Garen, for real quick, he is a friend of mine, and he actually got a Peloton based on my glowing recommendation. I know he's just killing the game.
Well, he said that. He said, I brought a Peloton because his wonderful sister inspired me. Now all we got to do is get a Black-owned Peloton company so we can keep that money in the community.
Peloton got to hook us up with some affiliate links, man. Like,
we do. I get a link. I have a link.
So
I got to look and see if I got one.
So
I'll be running my mouth and didn't even look for a link.
You can refer people, and they give you, I think, like they get $100 off, and you get $100 credit to like the store. To the question about Revive is about, I think it's $65 for like 12 smoothies. and I space them out. I don't have one every day, but I know a day that I'm like, you haven't had any vegetables today, ma'am. That's the day I'm like, oh, well, let me get my revived smoothie. And I actually, it was based on I was going to get, and speaking of like making random expenditures, what I was going to get is I was going to get a Vitamix. Vitamix is, if anybody knows, they're a $400 blender.
They're dope.
They are dope. But then, hold on, is it over here? Oh, it's all the way over there. So a friend of mine was like, Courtney, you don't want a Vitamix. They're like, unless you're trying to blend a battery, you actually don't need that. And it's actually Julian from Rich and Regular. Awesome, dope. He's actually a chef by like that's his trade. So he came to me. He's like, "Yo, get something else." I mean, he's like, he had a couple of suggestions. My girlfriend Sharia said, "Yo, like this is a couple of things that I suggested." I ended up getting a blender for like $199 that does everything that I need to do. It makes my smoothies delicious and silky, and I spent like a fraction of the cost. So just shout out to like really, I think we get afraid of having conversation with people on Facebook because sometimes we're like, oh, I'm afraid of sharing people my business, or I don't know, or for whatever reason. I always ask Facebook. I had to get a cake for my grandmother for her 91st birthday in the middle of quarantine. And I did a group thing. I said, hey, Facebook, could you guys give me a couple recommendations? I got a lot of Black bakers that were helpful. And I ended up going with somebody I went to high school with. So I didn't even know actually cook, that. Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's just opening up those opportunities.
Got you.
It's the power of community. It's like even this conversation we having now is going to help all of us.
Right. Let me get to
go ahead.
Let me get to the rest of those. So now it's your cabinets. I hope I'm saying your name right. Malik got the Peloton tread and the bike. I have both.
What? Yo, that's $10,000.
Oh, she said, get it. You got it. You talking about getting appraisals, so
that's 10 racks.
Okay, so Malik is doing this all-star thing. So somebody said, Don Johnson said, heard Malik on a podcast this week. Cherie Adams, Peloton Plus the Right Accountability Group is golden. Yes, Cherie. Yes. She's
in my accountability group. Hey, Silver.
So Philly Major Taylor Cycling Club, come join us. All right, keep that in mind for us, David. David supports.
Man, listen, I'm gonna say this, Foster. Only problem is, a couple of problems. One, I can't keep up. Two, right now, I'm not trying to be behind the back of 50 people breathing out heavy. I might get COVID. No, thank you, David. But after that, we can talk about it. But no, I didn't get on my bike. I used to bike 40 miles every weekend, but I haven't done that in like probably 7 years.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, we are going to keep ourselves accountable, and we're going to keep moving forward, and we're going to keep sharing our journey as we continue to increase our health so we can increase our wealth. Moving right along to our main topic of the evening, is college a waste of money and time? I want to start this conversation off with Courtney. Courtney, what are your thoughts about college as it relates to the Black community?
So it depends. I think, and I talked about this today on Instagram, is that college, there's 3 types of money, I guess, or income. You have passive income, investment income, earned income. That's kind of like your bucket. And that's not what the streams, but they're kind of the types of income. And one of the things that college does is college teaches you how to hopefully maximize your earned income. But again, we only have 24 hours in a day, maybe 16 because you need to sleep. And that, to me, I think it creates a really bad, it starts to create a bad narrative that, okay, I can try to do the most that I can based on what I have, but what about all the other things that I can do in terms of investments and things like that? So I think that's the big thing. Now I say this, and I full disclosure, I don't know if everybody needs to go to college to be the most productive in society. Also, I mean, there's a couple of different things that I think maturity-wise, I think people need that kind of process of life, rites of passage. But full and fair disclosure, I have 3 degrees. I have a BA, I have a JD, and I have an LLM in taxation. So I appreciate I'm doing some Monday morning quarterbacking. But I realize when people talk about what I do, so basically I can represent taxpayers in front of the IRS. But if I was a enrolled agent with the IRS, I could do that same work with the GED and some courses. So and not have the 6 figures in debt.
Okay, Corey.
I think it's about lifestyle design. Like if you're going to go to college, you need a plan, number 1, and then number 2, you need to like I need my doctors and my lawyers and those type of people to go to college. But if for the most part, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, college is for meeting people. And so I think that's a kind of a steep price to be meeting people if you're going into because entrepreneurship is about more about mentorship and experience than it is about classes. Like nothing in classes is going to teach you about I ain't gonna say nothing, but a lot of the class work is not going to teach you about the experiential things you need in the entrepreneurship world. Now, if we're talking about getting jobs and things of that nature, there's a lot of colleges. I mean, there's a lot of businesses that have started their own colleges. And so if you're interested in something specifically, you can literally go to the business and go to the college. So I don't know if, like for me, and full disclosure, I've been to a lot of schools. I have a CNA. I graduated from CCP, which is community college. I graduated from a 4-year college, and I went to, and I'm a few credits away from my master's. So I didn't, I have a truck ton of student loan, and I don't use any of that kind of stuff to do what I do, except for to teach. When I'm teaching, I need all of that stuff. But to be honest, I could have taught without all of that stuff. It doesn't be, subject matter expertise makes you a good teacher. It doesn't. I didn't need to go to 4 years of college to learn, subject matter expertise and become a teacher. So I mean, the barriers to like, and then a lot of black people go into jobs where you got to go to 8 years of school and you get $30,000 a year. We go into the social services because we want to help people and stuff like that, and that's taking on a lot of debt for a little bit of money. So you gotta design and have a lifestyle plan if you're gonna go to college. That's
Okay.
my thoughts on college.
Okay, Jimmy.
All right, so my answer is kind of along the lines of both Courtney and Corey. It depends, right? And I'm also playing Monday morning quarterback, so I have multiple degrees. But the one thing I will say is I've made connections in undergrad, graduate school, and I even still have friends from law school as well. But do I use any of those degrees on a daily basis? Well, that also depends, right? I'm one of these people. I actually have a master's degree in real estate, but what does that really even mean? There's probably a lot of people watching right now who work in real estate from all different aspects of real estate without a degree. I just knew it was something that I wanted to do, so I actually got a degree in real estate. But with that being said, it's about lifestyle design, like Corey said, because a lot can be learned in terms of growth, also connections, but everyone doesn't need it. It shouldn't be the be all end all. I know sometimes in our community in the past, it was the be all end all. Your parents or grandparents, whoever may be, people in the community, go to college and, get the good job, that whole thing, that whole adage that we always hear. But it's just not for everybody. And we need to be more strategic in how we approach it. So if you're a great student coming up, more than likely you can get some of your college paid for, right? I'm also a proponent of people using the community colleges, right? Trying to save cost that, start there and then transfer to a 4-year university. So I wouldn't say I'm not a fan of college. I'm not a fan of the debt that comes along with college, but if we can find ways to handle that, the finances that it takes to go to college, then we should be looking into that. That's one thing, because at the end of the day, I just don't believe in a blanket statement. People say, well, college is irrelevant now. Like, I'm not going to a doctor who says, yo, Jim, I was on YouTube, so I'm your doctor now. Like, I'm cool with that. Like, I'm not going to, I'm just serious, there's certain professions you're going to have to go to college, right? And we need black doctors. In all those professions that I'm speaking of, we need representation there as well. So I don't believe in a blanket statement to say that college isn't worth it or is not for our community. I just think that we need to be strategic in how we approach it. And also what Corey said as well, I know people personally that, graduated high school with me that went to Ivy League schools and got degrees and those 6 figures and they go and teach like elementary school. Like, what we doing there? Now, you didn't have to you didn't have to get 6 figures in loans to go teach elementary school. So that's what I mean about being strategic in how you approach it. That's what I'm saying. Because in the past, it's like, yo, you're going to school and you want to go by any means necessary. Even if that means taking out a bunch of loans that you and your family can't afford. But now I think that we need to be more strategic. But you just can't throw the whole thing away. That's my opinion on college.
All right, Malik.
So, my opinion is first, we have to separate college from student loan debt. Right? Those are two entirely different issues. I am of the mind that every black person in America should attend the HBCU for at least 1 year. Everybody. I mean, that should be mandatory. If every black person got out of high school in America go to HBCU, at least for 1 year. The experience is different. I think that for the experience alone, and we have to talk about, right, is people like myself that ruined student loans. Like, I didn't use the student loans for what it was supposed to be, right? I took out way more money than I should have, and I'm still paying it off all these years later. I didn't start even paying it back. I deferred, forbearing, whatever I could do for all this time, and so I just managed the money poorly. That's a whole other issue, right? I ended up getting in-state tuition my sophomore year. So my tuition level was way lower than it was as an out-of-state student, but I was still borrowing like I was out of state. I went to North Carolina Central University, HBCU in Durham, and being that I in Durham is also Duke University, I got to meet a lot of people from Duke. I was in UNC campus a lot, Shaw University, St. Augustine, up the road in Raleigh, smaller HBCUs, but then also in Raleigh is NC State, 30,000 undergrad. I met some really good people out of that university. So I think more so relationships and experiences, because I would put my college experience up against anybody's, and I would gladly pay for my son to have a similar experience that I did. And also I did start businesses in college using my student loans, right? And so I was able to try things out, and I could fail with the parachute, right? Learning how to deal with roommates. Some of my friends, they were like they were on the path to prison, right? My best homie, the judge was like, listen, you can go to jail, you can go to college. He chose college and ended up thriving, right? It's like an opportunity to get out of the environment that you're in, and seeing different things. These things are all worth it. They're worth the dollars if, the young guy out here that has never seen anything to go ahead, get down south, see a whole different way of life. And then you're with 2, 3, 4, 5,000 people from all different backgrounds, and all of their goals, no matter what they're doing, all the sex they have, all the drugs they doing, all the drinking they doing, doesn't matter. All the studying, the end goal is to get out of college, right? And so you can go to the parties, but the next day you most of us study. I will say this: out of my closest friends in Philly, all the ones that went to school here dropped out except one. All my friends I met in college, all of us graduated except one. It took me 5.5 years, to finally get out. Between part time, failing class, and taking it seriously, it took me 5.5 years to get out of there, right? But all in all, part of the reason why my debt is so heavy, because I was in school, longer. I mean, I felt like school wasn't the way of making money, which it really was, because I was making a bunch of money. But like I said, extrapolate the two issues. There's a debt problem, and then there's a college problem. Yes, I think that every black person in America should go to a HBCU for 1 year. Man, like the Israeli military. You gotta serve.
I like
ain't
that.
mad at that.
I like that. So every time I hear this question, my skin and my soul starts to itch. So just to give you a little context, right? I went back to school late. I went back to school late because I was a teenage parent. And so I couldn't go to my dream school, which was Howard University. So I'm always forever jealous of guys like Malik because they got the opportunity to go to an HBCU. However, I think a lot of times in our community, when we think about college and we force our children to go into something that's so-called practical, whether it's in line with their passions, gifts, and abilities. And so I think a lot of people get burned by the college experience, and they didn't have a great experience with education themselves. And so we keep pushing that down. But what we're experiencing all the time is what? Inequality. We have inequality in law. We have inequality in medicine. We have inequality in the court systems. We have inequality in, many of the society, what I call society forming careers, engineering, IT, architecture. All of those things need jobs. All of those things need college degrees. And so I'm not on the team of saying everybody needs college. I am, however, on the team that there are a lot of Black geniuses out there that are told that they're nothing and that they shouldn't truly embrace education, and they're totally lost. So I think more of us need to think about college, right? And I also think that most shouldn't go to college as soon as they get out of high school. They should probably work or travel somewhere, because I know
that's a great point.
Mature enough. I wasn't mature enough to go to college at that time when I was 17 and be a dad all at the same time and try to figure that out. And a lot of our youths are dealing with a lot of issues that we have no idea what they're dealing with. And they just haven't reached that emotional, mental, and spiritual maturity yet to really make college a real good go. Now, I heard y'all talk about the life plan and lifestyle design. I don't know how many 17 and 18-year-olds you would reach with that. I do get having a plan, but I do think college can also be a time for experimentation a bit, not too much, but a bit. So I want to take a minute and go through some of these comments.
Yeah, there's some good comments, and there's one that in particular that I want to respond to.
All right, give us a recording.
I just want to say,
Garen had a really good comment about, how the conversation irks him, like this type of conversation irks him. He says that he has 3 undergrad and 3 advanced degrees, and he does extremely well in corporate and has multiple businesses that are profitable. Why can't we do both? Why limit ourselves? I don't think that's the conversation. And I want to be very clear is that I went to a college preparatory high school. I went to the Philadelphia High School for Girls. And I shared, of course, where else would I go? Anyway, so I share that to say, listen, we're not saying, and I'm not saying from a college perspective that college is not it's not that you can't do everything. But I think especially, and I had this conversation with my father a couple of years ago, is that we were told as children growing up, especially based on, and someone said it in the comments earlier saying, the guidance counselors are only giving to kids what they got and what they did. So my parents were both college educated. So they said, hey, we have great jobs. My mom's a nurse. My dad's a teacher. My dad actually was an executive at McDonald's for years before he actually went into teaching. So teaching's like maybe his third iteration of a career or a job. So I share that with you to say that's what they did. So, but now life is very different, but we were still using that old paradigm. College doesn't open all the doors, especially someone brought it up earlier, and I don't remember who it was, so my apologies. They said, we're going into social services. The jobs don't pay well, but we have 6 figures in debt with a job that's not commensurate with the salary. Yes, we can do things. I started this conversation saying I have 3 degrees. I have an MBA, a JD, and an LLM in taxation. I use my LLM in taxation the most in the Ivy Investor talking about wealth planning strategies. I have a certificate in estate planning. So I say that kind of like I said, I might be doing a little bit of Monday morning quarterbacking, but college isn't the key to success for everyone. And I think when we present it to students that way, we end up taking them out of an opportunity, maybe a trade school, something else, to putting them in college and then setting them up for failure. There's a quote that says, if you're teaching a fish, if you evaluate a fish's ability and their gifts and talents by their ability to climb a tree, they'll always fail. And I think the same thing here. Not everybody's meant to go to college. And that's not to say they're not intelligent. Some people just don't, they just don't excel well in that type of structure environment. It's about us having, someone said it in the comments, about having a plan. And that's having the conversation with parents, that's why you have mentors. I was in Inroads. There was a lot of different opportunities that I had, different touch points for me to kind of create a life plan. I started as a financial advisor and I had a degree in philosophy. So again, now we all see full circle. We're like, oh yeah, that made sense. None of it made sense when I was doing it. And I've made a lot of mistakes in that process too. I just don't want people to make costly mistakes. And a lot of this college thing is a costly mistake. Especially given the age of maturity. I was not ready to go to college at 17. I was in college at 17. Not the best place for me.
So let me jump in, Courtney. So I get what his name is Garen, right? I get what Mr. Williams is saying, because we in our community, Black community, right? Remember, this is the Black Wealth Project. So a lot of times people in our community say college is a flat out waste of time. It wasn't like our panel where we said it's nuanced. They just say blanketly it's a waste of time. And here this young man said he has 3 degrees and he's able to pull down 7 figures. And so he's saying and I don't know his background. I know he's your friend. I don't know his background. And he's been able to do that. And everybody is so money centered when it comes to college. But Courtney, I know for a fact, your philosophy degree absolutely helps you every day. And so I feel like a lot of times we have this false notion of practicality, like it has to be practical right now, instead of kind of following the path of what things we are interested in, and then realizing the true monetary value later on. Because I know from our conversations, your philosophy degree helps you in every facet of your life.
But I went to a number.
Well, Kamar, let me say something real fast.
Okay.
Go ahead, Courtney.
No, I was just saying I went to a number 2 philosophy program. So I mean, I guess my point is like, yes, I write. I knew, and the thing is, I took philosophy and I decided to go into that particular major because I knew I was going to law school. My path was law school. How I got there took me a little bit of time, but I actually, like said, I'm doing philosophy because I'm going to have to do a lot of logic and I'm going to have to write a lot. So that's a good idea for me to go to law school. I thought about that. But philosophy, just for me to be out in the world and kind of philosophizing and talking about Immanuel Kant and Descartes, not so. It's not so helpful. I mean, it just depends. And we said, and I think we've said pretty consistently. Excuse me, Jimmy and I specifically have said, it depends. If you're going to be an engineer, an attorney, a doctor, yeah, you need to go to college. But there's some things that you actually don't have to go to college for, and we have to be mindful of that, and that's okay.
Hold on, Jimmy. I got you. I just want to say this one thing. But many of us at 17 don't know we're going to become a lawyer or a doctor. And so we kind of rob ourselves of the opportunity to explore at the expense of, being practical, right? Because I don't believe going to college. I don't believe getting a job should be your goal for going to college. I believe bettering your mind, bettering your thinking should be the goal of going to college. I know I am in the minority. And I'm cool with that, but that's how I see it. So go ahead, Jimmy. I don't want to belabor this too long.
A couple points. I saw a couple girls high shout outs in the chat. So shout out to all the girls high. Central guy, by the way.
Yeah,
but also to Malik's point,
I love y'all.
Yeah, we love y'all. But listen, also to Malik's point, I'm a proponent. I also went to HBCU. I went to Lincoln.
Shout out to Lincoln.
And that experience, shout out to Lincoln. That experience, was life changing for me. But again, there's a couple comments, right? So Shakira Powell says it needs to be assessed on an individual level. And I agree with that, right? So you have to look at it on a case-by-case basis. And Kamari, I get your point too, that you don't know what you want to do at 17, but I also think there's this thing where we have to go right after high school. And I think that's problematic too. Because to be honest, in retrospect, yeah.
Sorry, that's why I said I feel that we're pushed into college and we should reject that and go later.
Except for,
and also,
I will never go back though. If I took a year off, I'm never going back.
All right, sorry guys.
Understood. But also this part, once you're there, is also this pressure that you have to finish in 4 years, which I think that's also ridiculous because a lot of people I went to school with, they were finding themselves and trying to figure out what they want to do. And then it got to the point where I got to get out of here in 4 years. My mom says I have to get out of here in 4 years. So they just start taking majors and doing things that they didn't, really want to do because they are trying to beat the clock.
Though. That's the money pressure.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
That's the money pressure.
But that's what I'm saying. So I think that, it has to be assessed on an individual basis, like the sister said in the chat. But I wanted to bring up another question that came out the chat from Kahan. A shout to Kahan, another Central guy. He says, what majors do we suggest that people major in? Because if we're talking about representation, right? So I think that we should have college graduates, but we should have people that also go to the trades. But I'm interested to see what you guys think about his point. What kind of majors should we be talking to the youth about?
I'm gonna tell you, and Courtney hates me for this. I feel we need black lawyers and black doctors. Of course, we need everything else, like I said. But I feel like with everything that's going on right now, with so much of the injustice and the police shootings, we saw what just happened with Avery. I believe that's the brother's name in Atlanta that got gunned down like a dog. It was very, very sad. But he's got Lee Merritt and a few of the other Black attorneys who kind of handle Ben Crump, and there's another brother involved. We need those folks to give us better representation in the courts. Like, that is so paramount. We need the Courtneys of the world to give us better representation in the business world and the financial field, right? We absolutely need it. Like, we need those people for one thing, right? Practicality. We got to get our people out of jail or get them, their families represented in a time of need. And two, a lot of times people can't be what they can't see. So for the next generation that's coming up, they need to be able to see that as well.
So I think here's the thing on the majors, a couple of things, and it doesn't, here's the problem that I see across the board. These major selections cannot start at college. You have to be preparing yourself and preparing your student to go into these majors in high school and sometimes in grade school. What I've noticed, and I think Kamari brought this up earlier in the conversation, and someone said, Ms. Parker, she said, we need engineers. I'm just about to go there.
Absolutely.
So, we do need engineers. I think you said about community building and, engineers and any profession that's necessary to build a community. Engineers is actually one of them. Engineers, doctors, attorneys, doctors, attorneys, medical professionals, all of those. So, but the thing is that anything that requires math, we have to get on it early, because one thing I have noticed is that some people's math skills, I'm not going to say everybody, math skills are not pushed in the schools. And I think that hurts us when it does come to the opportunities that are available in college. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, and engineering is hard. I had a lot of friends. Shout out to Benedum Hall, up in Pitt. I mean, and we also had a lot of people that engineering was hard, and they had good math skills. So again, if you don't have good math skills and you're getting into these majors, you're going to drop out of engineering. And if you decide to stay in college, which a lot of people don't, is that they end up going into the arts and sciences, which is fine. But, had they just had the foundation, they would have been able to be a successful engineer. So I think that's the thing, is that we actually start the party entirely too late. Like the way I paid for law school, my last 2 years of law school, I did law school admissions. And some of the things that I saw is that people were saying, oh, I'm going to go to law school their last 2 years of school, or maybe their last year of school, or even after they were out of school. You need recommendations from your professors. So a lot of people didn't establish those relationships with their professors for somebody to feel comfortable to write a letter of recommendation. There was a lot of people who decided they said, oh, well, I'm going to choose a super hard major. But in law school, in law school admissions, we're looking at two things. We're looking at GPA and we're looking at LSAT. So if you have a super hard major, we may give you a little bit of a pass, but we really need that GPA to be high. So again, as you wanted to go to law school and you said, well, I can pick between, two majors, like a biology major or something like that. And you have no desire to go into sciences. You have no desire to get a patent law attorney, to be a patent law attorney, something like that. I may say, why don't we look at something that you're inclined to do extremely well in, so we can make sure that we set the foundation for you to not only get into the schools that you want to get in and actually get money to get funded. So I think it's about a plan, but creating that plan a lot sooner than the day that I step on campus. I mean, that's to a certain extent, that's planning to fail. And just as bad as you're not trying to figure out how we're going to pay for someone to go to school. So I think there's a lot of things into that package. But one thing I want to say is that if you have a college student, I want you to work. I mean, a high school student, 9th grade, 8th grade, start working on the SAT. 9th grade, 8th grade, I want you to start doing some things that are setting whatever the child is naturally inclined to do, have them do that. Kind of do some extracurriculars there, because we're trying to, one, not only create a well-rounded student, but a well-rounded child. And I think one of the things is we get so enamored with the idea of college is that we don't prepare them in high school because it's not sexy then. And that's no shade to anyone who doesn't, but I just don't think we have the understanding of the necessity of doing so.
Right.
So,
I see this.
I'm in the school district.
Hold that for guys. Real quick, everybody, if you're just joining us, right, you're watching the Black Wealth Project. Black Wealth Project is the financial think tank for the Black community. Every Sunday we are on at 7 p.m. Please share this with somebody who's interested in the Black community and helping to eradicate the Black wealth gap. Go ahead, Corey.
All right, so two things. Number one, I'm the person here who probably took the longest to graduate from college because I graduated in '95 and I didn't get my college degree until 2010. So I was a business owner before I graduated college. So I went to a 4-year college right out of high school because I was pressured because I went to one of the best high schools in the country. So my parents thought I should go directly to college, and I told them I wasn't ready for college, and they didn't care. So they was like, "You're going to college. I don't know what college you're going to, but you're going." So I went to Westchester. I was an athlete. I could have went to a lot of schools, but I was like, I didn't want to be sitting in a mountain in West Virginia trying to play ball. So I was, so my parents sent me to college before I didn't want to go to college. I wanted to do other things. So I ended up dropping out of college and I went into the Army for 4 years. Then I came back out and then I was ready to actually go to college. And so I went to CCP when I got out, and then I went and I graduated from a 4-year college. And so I did some other business things in between that. But, having taken that journey, I understand what it's like to not be ready to go to school and have, be pushed into something you're not ready to do and without a plan. Because when I came out of high school, I wanted to be a ball player. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to, like, school was like, why am I going to school? You know what I mean? Like, I have the athletic talent. I just need to go to school to get seen so I can go somewhere and play ball. So, being forced to go to college out of high school, it didn't set me back. It just set me on a path to do something different. My family, my mom was an accountant. My grandmother was a civil rights activist. My aunt was a teacher. So, and my dad got a 4-year degree too. So, I went to a place. I come from a family. Even though we grew up in the craziest, probably one of the most violent neighborhoods in the country. I mean, in the city of Philadelphia, we was all college educated. So it wasn't like I didn't see what college education could do for you because we lived pretty well in a really poor neighborhood. But it wasn't. It college didn't seem like a great fit for me, and to be pushed into that trajectory without wanting to actually do it was it was disheartening, to be honest. So I understand the path that a lot of these kids are on on the college thing. You know what I mean? Like, I could have did what I did. Because when I came out of the Army, the first thing before I went to college, I did 2 years at City Year Philadelphia. So I took a really, really super long path to get in my 4-year degree.
But Corey, let me ask you a quick question. You said you didn't want to go to college. So what made you want to go to college when you got back from the Army?
Because I saw what I wanted to do, and what I wanted to do civilly to teach. I needed a 4-year degree, and I needed a master's degree to do. So I had to go back to school if I wanted to actually, because I wanted to affect children. And so if I want to affect children and I want to teach, I got to go back to school to do that. So that's what I did. You know what I mean? Okay. But that's the only thing that made me go back to school, because being an entrepreneur, I knew I was always going to do that, because there's no job that's going to define me and tell me how much money put a cap on how much I can make. So I always knew I was going to be entrepreneurial, either on the side or completely. But I wanted to be able to affect children, and so that's why I went back and got my 4-year degree.
Gotcha. Malik, was it you that had a comment, or was it Jimmy?
Yeah, no, I see it. So first, I want to say this: my HVAC guy is 20, and he's killing the game right now. I don't want to count his money, but from doing HVAC, I know what I pay him, and he's got a lot of jobs a week, and he's buying real estate. I'm gonna talk to him once he add that stock on. Like, he's gonna be great in the next 2 to 3 years. Like, even just real estate and HVAC, he's already gonna be great. And he's a high school dropout, right? But now, as far as talk about money, as far as what I want for my kids, I'm not going to tell them that if I'm not going to force them to go to college if they are doing something. If they are doing nothing, I'm going to be like every other black parent and ship their ass off somewhere, period. But they're not going to sit in my basement, and just look at as like trying to get a job in game. They're either they're not doing that now unless they're making money at gaming. If they make money at gaming, then cool. They can stay all day, right? But they have to have something else, be doing something, and not just figuring themselves out, right? And waiting a year or two.
I disagree with that, and I disagree with that statement in all totality. Because why does production have to be the thing that says you have to, what you have to do as parents when we have these children? Why is production the standard?
My son is not chilling in the basement, bro. I don't care what happens.
I'm not saying chilling in the basement, but that does not make him non-productive. Like my thing is, if you can do something for society that doesn't that doesn't say I have $1 million salary, why can't you do it?
Right. That's why I said doing something. I didn't say he has to be making money. He has to be doing something, right?
Okay.
And that something cannot just be chilling in the basement and gaming. But I tell people, if right now, if kids don't know what they want, if they don't want to take on a lot of debt, send them to Jackson State University. Their tuition is like $5,000 a year, and you got to pay for room and board. That's not that big of a nut to send the kids away. I know it's Mississippi. I know it's one of the worst states in the union. Or I get that, but listen, I got a lot of good folk that went to Jackson State, and but you get the HBCU experience. You get to go away, and plus, when I was away, my family was going through turmoil, but nobody called me with the problems because I wasn't there. So I didn't find out about that stuff until I came home. But while you're here, you're in the mix, and it's affecting you personally, it's affecting you mentally, it's affecting all of that stuff. But by me being away, I didn't get any of that kind of issues. I didn't know what was going on. And nobody said, you know what, let me call Malik and tell him what's going on. First of all, back then, we had LCI and it was like 9 cents a minute to call me. So first of all, it was too expensive. Now it's free. But still,
remember them days, boy. Phone cards.
Hold on.
Phone cards, right.
I wanna piggyback off of your comment, right? So one of the biggest mistakes I have to admit to myself that I made as a parent, because again, I was a teenage parent, is that I tried to force my son to go to college. Where my son initially told me that he wanted to go to trade school, and I didn't listen to him because I thought that it was in my mind. I thought that he can pick up a trade, and I have no problem with him doing a trade, but he also has to have a certain intellectual rigor about him as well. I made that mistake, and so I am a big proponent now of kind of listening to your children, paying attention to your children, and seeing where their gifts, abilities, and talents lie. Shout out to Connie Greer. She's a master educator here, former principal, and definitely education and prison reform advocate as well. Hey, Connie.
Okay. I just want to make one quick statement because we got a lot of great comments, but
yes,
what it all comes down to, what Malik says and Corey, you're not really disagreeing. It's just a matter of having a plan. Right. We talk about lifestyle design. All these things are about having a plan. And even what Courtney said about, just attacking that plan earlier, as opposed to waiting until they're in college. So what we're saying is we should be working on a plan with the children in our community and I saw a couple of the comments say mentorship is key. So for us that have graduated college and have that experience, we can kind of navigate and help the younger generation out. That's another thing. Like, I don't know about what Corey just said, his father had a degree, but in my family, the people before me didn't have college degrees, so it was like learning on the fly. But now we're in a space now where we have people that have degrees that can help the next generation. So working with those plans and getting to the kids earlier, because our point about math is absolutely correct, because math dictates everything else. Like, if you show promise in math early, it can set you up for everything else. But I know, Kamari, get to some of these comments. We got questions specifically about 529. Don Johnson got a great question. So I think we should get to some of these comments.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I'll talk while Kamari's pulling that up. I want to talk about Don's comment, and because he makes a really good point. I think Kamari's going to bring it up about.
Wait. But Don's got a couple comments. So
okay, I'm going to give you. But if we're talking about Black wealth, shouldn't we push our kids to high income careers? And I think we need to talk about that. I think we should look to increase the income of our community, but we also need to increase the wealth of our community. And here's the thing. I'll give you an example about myself. I made a lot of money at Merrill Lynch. Don't ask me where that money is, because I don't know. So here's my thing. We can push people into high income. Y'all laughing at me?
Yeah.
Because of the way you said it. I don't know where that money is.
That's real.
But it's real. And I think that's the point I was getting at. I made a lot of money. I was assistant vice president in my mid-20s at a Fortune 100 company. I was getting it. And it was a mess. I mean, I don't know where I have no idea where that money went. Like, no idea. But I share that to say I can push you into a high income career all I want. But if you don't have the skills and the financial literacy to know what you do with that money, it's still not a good look. Like, if I make $100,000 in my 20s and I don't have a savings plan, I don't have a savings account because I'm just tricking the money, like, what good is that? Like, what are we really doing there? So I think it's a bigger conversation is you can make you can make any amount of money and still save. You can make any amount of money and still do the things you're supposed to do, financially literate. But I think that's where we kind of get away from it, is because we think that high income earners automatically equates to financial literacy. If that's the case, then all the lottery winners would be rich and they would still be rich instead of broke.
All the ball players, 80% of the ball players after they, retire.
I mean,
they lose all the money, like, because there's the education component is not there.
But also, to me, you got to define what wealth is, right? Is wealth just income?
Mm-hmm.
Because I know a lot of people with some heavy income who wouldn't consider themselves wealthy because they're miserable, right? So we need to really define what wealth is, which is why I like this platform, and which is why we always, talk about getting our health together, our mental health together. So wealth is not just about income. It is about how much you keep, not how much you earn. But wealth in general is a lot more than just like money.
Right.
Right.
I would totally agree with that. I think, honestly, this may sound weird. I think out of context, we focus on money too much, right? And I don't know if that makes sense. I think we should focus on wellness and doing what we are great at doing, and the money will come. Not talking about passion, right? Because I saw a comment about following our passion. I'm not saying that, but listen, if you're great at swinging a hammer and being a carpenter, you might not like that, but you can affect change and be impactful by swinging that hammer in more ways than one. Any other comments? Anybody else want to chime in on?
I swings my hammer.
Oh,
Pause, dog. Pause.
Wait, I don't know. Where did that come from?
Yeah, pause, dog.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Jeez.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I use my talent to the. I'm saying I use my talent to the best. I use my God-given talent to make a living. That's what I'm saying.
Just say that.
I was using the analogy. Goodness gracious.
So listen, I want to talk about
29 comment. Let's talk about that.
So Ms. Connie said, trust me, I'm launching parent coaching around this very topic. The topic of going to college and finding your children's passion, right? She said it starts in grade school. Mm-hmm. And I believe she was piggybacking off of what Courtney said.
That's true. I knew I wanted to be an attorney at the age of 5. And my parents were like, where did this kid get this from? Like, they were like, where do you want to be? People were like, I want to be a firefighter. I want to be a policeman. I was like, I want to be an attorney. And they're like, who is this kid? Where do we get him from? So again, I was exposed to it. So I think that's an important thing about exposure and exposing early. I also went to Montessori school. So I think that's also a very good learning environment. But I think there was a really good question about 529 plans, Kamari.
Hold up. I want to address this and I'll get to the 529.
Okay.
So I hope I'm not saying your name wrong. Shakira Powell says early exposure will open up your children's minds in ways we can only imagine. She's right. More exposure, the more things they see, the more things they actually do. will open up a plethora of things that they can get
Hey,
involved.
listen, I gave my son. He has a Webull paper trading account right now, and every day he's looking up his stocks, buying stuff, selling stuff. So, he doesn't understand what everything means, but he's very inquisitive. So we'll see where that takes him.
Shots out
Yeah,
to
I mean, you
you.
give him all kinds of exposure. Shout out to him. He was in our camp.
Yeah.
And I know you got him in. I know you got him in chess camp too. You got him all over the
Yeah,
place.
we go in.
But that's what it's about, though.
So Shakira again says, Don, we need to push our children to reach as high as they can and teach them that they should do with that high income, or what they can do with that high income. Stop the high spending and invest, give back, save, etc. All right.
Can I say this one thing real quick about the high income?
Hold on, Malik. I just want to say this real quick. Shout out to Corey and Jimmy, right? Because we were talking about math, and they had Akil Parker on, who is indeed starting a program, or has started a program, about making math more fun for our youth. Can one of y'all talk about that real quick? Because it's very
So
to this.
So Akil Parker is a professor and a mathematician, a black mathematician here in the Philadelphia area, and one of the things that he focuses on is how math is marketed. Because in the conversation we had him on our podcast recently. Go check it out at By the Hood. He talks about how kids will come to him and say they don't know math, but then they can do analytics on all sorts of sports, right? They don't understand that they know math. And his objective is to basically work with how math is marketed. And he has a program called All This Math. And what he's been doing under the quarantine is every day he goes live on his Instagram page is at All This Math. And he takes in requests to answer questions and also just does a little bit of tutoring. And does it every day at 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, and it's at All This Math. But his whole objective is to try to work with how math is marketed.
Yeah, because he starts early. That's what he was talking about on our show. He was like, if we don't start our kids, we don't believe we can do math because it's not marketed to us that we know it.
Right. So yeah, I just wanted to highlight that, because I think that's very crucial that we really start to move more into math. But let's get back to these comments. Everybody listen to that By the Hood episode. Now, Courtney, where was the 529?
I think Kim brought it up. I'm looking through the comments on my side.
Kahan asked, was it a good plan? What did we think about the plan? So Kim answered him.
Yeah. So let's define our terms. I think it's super important that we define our terms. A 529 plan is a college savings plan. If you ever hear a number associated with some type of plan, like a 401k plan, 457, 403b, it's related to the tax code. The tax code is, hey everyone, wait, hold on. The tax code is our friend. The tax code is the cheat code. I'm going to say this again. The tax code is our friend. The tax code is the cheat code. That's courtesy of my LLM in taxation. Boom. So, so I share that with you to say that the 529, you can open it. Actually, you can actually open it as soon as the child's born. You can actually open it before they're born. You can switch it around. It's a couple things you can do. Now, 529 allows you to put money into an account that grows, we'll say tax advantage. I'll say tax advantage until it comes out. So if you're using it for qualified education expenses, then the money comes out tax free. But the question that a lot of people have is that, one, some of the 529 plans tend to be expensive in terms of fees. They also don't offer a lot of opportunities in terms of investing outside of mutual funds. And then so a lot of people are saying, hey, what do I do if my kid decides not to go to college? And a lot of times I end up talking to people about 529 plans when their kids like maybe in high school or at the end of grade school. But these are the same people that are having a conversation because their kid has a job. And I'm like, okay, they're cutting lawns, they're doing babysitting, they're doing whatever they may be doing. But that being said, is that they're equally open to open a Roth IRA, a custodial Roth IRA, because they're under the age of 18, and they can actually save for use that money to save for college. They can use it to buy a house, and they can use it for retirement. And the same thing, as long as the money is held in the account, so they're 59 and a half, and it's the account's been open for 5 years, but if you open it that early in life, then you're fine, is that money comes out tax-free. And in those types of accounts, you can purchase stocks, bonds, mutual funds, whatever you want, even real estate. So I think it's a question of, what are you looking to do? What are you looking to do? Do you think your child's going to college? And does someone else in your family possibly have use for that money somewhere else? What I have suggested for a lot of people.
Courtney, hold on real quick. Can you explain how the different states interacted and different type of plans within the states as well?
Okay, so what do you mean? So for Pennsylvania, for example, if you make a contribution to the 529, I don't know if it's any 529 plan or the Pennsylvania 529 plan. Let me back up. So states have 529 plans. They're state-sponsored programs. So Pennsylvania has what's called a cash account, and then they have an investment account. I believe the investment account is run by or sponsored by or run by Vanguard. But if you contribute to those plans, in some cases, you may get a reduction or a deduction on your taxes.
Yes.
So it depends. It really kind of depends. And this is when I want people to have a conversation with their tax advisor. And it's still tax time, guys. Tax time doesn't end until July. So have a conversation with your tax advisor. So your options for college savings, 529s, you have a Coverdell ESA, educational savings account. And then you have the Roth IRA, which is really for retirement, but can be used for education. So those are pretty much your options as when I'm looking at a child. Now the Coverdell has an income limit, and it also has a contribution limit. I think it's $2,000 per kid every year. And so the 529 actually doesn't have an income limit income limit or a contribution limit. Now there's some gift tax implications, but we're not going to get into those because we can go down the rabbit hole. A lot of people like to use it for accelerated gifting. So if I have some wealthier grandparents that are trying to move money to their grandchild, what I will do is we'll do accelerated gifting, which is the gift tax exemption over 5 years for both grandparent or one grandparent or whoever it is. If it's a couple, it's gift tax exemption over those 5 years, or if it's one person, it's gift tax exemption over 5. But there's a lot of different structuring things that you can do with a 529 that you can't do with other college savings plans. But it just really depends on your situation and what you're looking ultimately to do. So unfortunately, I can't give you a straight answer because it depends, but those are your options.
So I'll jump in on that real quick. Also, one thing to think about with 529s with the new tax law change, like Courtney said, the tax code is a cheat code. It definitely works for you if you use it. But now with 529 plans, you could also save for private school, right? Because before, 529 plans were only for college and above. Now you can save for K through 12 and it'd be tax advantage, like Courtney said.
Yeah, it's $10,000.
I gotta go back and look. I want to say it's still there's no cap, but like you said, there's some other gift tax implications.
No, it's $10,000 for the use of K to 12 funds. So if you're using a 529 for kindergarten through 12th grade, it's $10,000 per year. So you can't just say, oh, I have a 529 with $100,000. I want to put it all on 1 year of school or however you I don't know, high school. No, you can't do it that way. It's $10,000 per year. So you can't completely use the whole 529. It's not the same thing on the other side. In college, you're not limited, but for K to 12, you are limited. But it did open the Tax Cut and Jobs Act, which was 2017, passed in 2017, allowed for that additional funding source, I guess, for lack of a better word.
Right. Any other comments in the section we should highlight?
Oh, I mean, we got a lot of great comments.
Right. Well, anything caught y'all eye? So let's go to David Foster. Our community needs financial literacy ASAP.
Yeah,
for sure.
Shakira is on fire real quick. She got a comment on here that says we can all go out and obtain as many degrees as we want, but if we aren't bringing that talent back into our community and guiding and nurturing those coming up after us, then we're just hamsters on a wheel.
No, Shakira cannot be your BFF. Oh man, that's
Yeah.
Shakira got barred. She barred us up in the comment section.
Right, so let's a couple of months ago, so I bought a building at 54th and Market, and I mentioned it on Instagram that I was going to turn it into a community center, and I need people that are willing to teach skills to kids or teach skills to people so that they can get a job without a college degree. And surprisingly, my inbox was full of people that were willing to teach things. I'm talking about like not just the trades, but I got some network and wiring stuff that I'm actually working on that now. That's one of the things I'm working on with a friend of mine, this cat in Maryland. I forget his name right offhand right now, but he is the at 27, he's the youngest Outback Steakhouse franchise holder in Maryland. He said he's going to come teach people how to own franchises. I got a bunch of different people, including Joel, talking about coming in and teaching coding. Um, there's all different types of skills that people are willing to teach that we just like, okay, let's get the certificate or let's just get the skill to go out and be able to get a decent job without a college degree, right? Without going into debt. And so I'll be going into that building. When I'm done these next 4 buildings, I'm going to go into that one, and that's going to be like the hub. And we're really going to get it down. We're really going to make sure that people have opportunities to work. Should they choose to?
You didn't mention us that we volunteered. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, no. Listen,
Right.
I definitely listen. I
Can we
thought
get
it
our
was a
flowers
given.
too?
Listen,
Can we get our flowers too?
I thought Corey and Jimmy was a given. Corey and Jimmy definitely reached out and said that they wanted to teach their financial literacy class and everything else. So we got a lot. There's a lot going on. And one thing I will say that we don't really teach enough is public speaking. Right? I think that
I would agree with
a
that.
lot of time, and I think that even the most our kids see public speaking is when they go to church, right? And I will say this: some of these pastors are masterful the way they control the audience. So there's a lot to learn from going to church, right?
Yes,
And then
Lord.
right? But like it definitely there's a lot of money to be made in just public speaking, and that is another skill that we really need to teach.
I agree.
And that skill works no matter what you do. It don't matter what you do. Being able to speak in public.
Yeah, no matter what field you in public. Like, see, the thing is, being a teacher, I'm used to public speaking, so that's a skill you actually learn in teaching. So I'm kind of thankful for that.
So I
Right,
mean,
but right, you think, but that's informative speech, right? But now we still have to teach
Persuasive speech.
I was just about to go
Yeah,
there.
the point is we got
About to go there. That's really important. I think honestly, the thing that served me the most in my entire life is learning sales. By far. By far.
And listen, everybody join the network marketing program.
Right.
I wouldn't
No,
say
you laughing at it, but I know you're serious about that because
I'm
you learn a
100%
lot of
serious.
skills.
Yeah.
You learn a lot of skills. Coming up,
Right,
you
you
learn a lot of
have
skills through that.
you have the highest. You have some of the. They pay for some of the best salespeople to teach their salespeople all over the country. You're learning high level sales for like $70 a month, whatever program you're in, like prepaid or 5 links at the time. I was in ACN. I had some great public speakers.
I'll see your ICN and your 5 links, and I'll raise you with Toastmasters any day. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but Toastmasters still doesn't do the sales. Like
they do persuasive sales.
They do some, but not on the level of an ACN or one of the.
Nah, bro, that network marketing is a zero-sum game. They like, nah, you're going to get this sale today.
You're gonna learn.
And you're going to get this quote today.
But I will say that. So I was a financial advisor. I think I talk about this. I started my career as a financial advisor, and I started with American Express Financial Advisors, now Ameriprise. We had a sales meeting every single Monday, and they had us run this script every single Monday. They were like, kick off the PMM or whatever it was. I think it was PMM. And I can't even remember that thing, but we would recite it and go around and around, and we would talk about objections. We would kind of run through it all of the time. But the thing is that helps me and that serves me because in my business, I'm always selling, whether I'm selling myself or I'm selling a class, I'm selling. And I think it's super important that we stop looking at sales as a bad thing, as kind of as an offshoot of this conversation. When you're selling something, you're selling a solution to someone's problem. That's it.
That's what businesses are.
That's
businesses are solutions. Businesses are solutions to people's problems
all day. And I think
Yeah.
we would really serve the wealth conversation in our community to understand that, you know, and really be a good steward of whatever we're selling. I mean, I really try
That's the key.
Yeah, and I agree. So I think there's a lot of things that we can learn from sales. I think I really want us to see us doing more persuasive sales, also doing public speaking, and really giving people opportunities to do public speaking. I was in oratorical contests every single year when I was in high school.
What didn't you do,
Yo,
Courtney?
I did. I did the Black History. Hey, listen, I did the Black History oratorical. Yo, listen, I did that every year from K to 8. I did the Black History oratorical contest.
We need Freedom Theater back. Where's Freedom Theater? So listen, Kamar.
So hold on.
Oh my God.
Hold on.
Kamar, man, just one question.
Hold on, Malik. There's a comment. We're going over audience comments. So Connie Greer asked public speaking or networking. So I would say both, right?
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah, both. Yeah, both.
Yeah.
Okay. What were you saying?
But public speaking first, right? Because you need to learn how to know what to say, how to and be confident when you are networking. But Kamari, let me ask you this. How would you like to get paid for every time you turn on a light switch? How
don't get me started. I'm like, damn, you know, are you looking for a new opportunity to make money? Like everybody writes the same damn script with MLMs.
Man.
Come on, people. All right, so Lori Mitchell said as well, writing. So I do agree. Persuasive writing, persuasive speaking, and just speaking overall are all important.
Mighty Writers, free program.
Oh yeah, you're right, Malik. Shout out to
Mighty Writers. Yeah, Mighty Writers.
Oh, okay. So Connie was saying no. I was saying students aren't toward that. No.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They're not toward networking. They are not toward sales. I agree. Yeah. All right, Dave. I see where you're going. I see exactly where you're going. Listen, I've been hanging up on people. Like, I trust it.
You're talking about
MLM folks. Yeah.
I get it, but they do have some really good stuff. Like I have got listen. So I've been involved with TLC, and they had some really good. Like I think the Compound Effect by what's his name, y'all? Is it Darren Hardy?
Darren Hardy, yeah.
That's a good book, and that was recommended through. It wouldn't even been on my radar. It's a really, really good book. I really suggest that for people, just to kind of understand how our what we do every day compounds. So I think it's a great book. Really, really, really. I definitely suggest it.
So listen, in all seriousness, right? Mm-hmm. I don't fundamentally have a problem with MLMs. I will say this though. I don't have a problem with MLMs if you have no clue about what you want to do. Again, I'm okay with MLMs if you don't know what you want to do. But like Courtney, you're a lawyer. You already knew you wanted to be a lawyer. So to me, you becoming somebody in MLM is a waste of your talents, skills, and abilities. You can
I don't know about that.
Let me finish your thought more. Except for, let me say this, right? Yeah. They have like the travel agent MLM. They get in like free trips and discounted trips from travel agent, friends and family travel. They get in discounts. I will say that somebody else, one of my closest friends that went to Central, who you probably know, 254, that's this class.
I still don't know what the numbers mean. Y'all like a
graduating class.
Graduating class.
Right.
Okay.
And so listen, bro,
y'all so bougie. Like
listen, my man, he still makes passively from ACN, from a network he built in 95, 96. He's still making more than people's salaries today.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
In like 7 to 8 years.
So do I. He actually graduated with me and Corey, but we're gonna leave that alone.
Yeah.
Just speaking of books though, another book which is relevant to this conversation. Everybody's familiar with Robert Kiyosaki from Rich Dad Poor Dad, but he actually wrote a book. Said it's called "If You Want to Be Rich and Happy, Don't Go to School." I don't know if I agree with that, but he has this whole argument within that book. It actually came out before Rich Dad Poor Dad, but just didn't take off the way he thought it would, so he made a whole new story up. But that's either here nor there.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's just Sanders my favorite person not going to college. I think he's the next Tony Stark, in my opinion. Anybody doesn't know Idris Sandu, look him up. Dude is amazing, doing amazing things right now.
So I want to talk about the multi-level marketing thing real quick. It depends on what
Uh-oh.
and I don't really love it. I'm be very honest, but I think it also depends. So anything, if you know anything about security licenses, I kept my licenses. And I in order to keep your licenses, you have to be affiliated with a organization. And if you don't do it within 2 years, you lose your license. Primerica held my licenses. So I don't really rock with them like that. I mean, it's not that I have any problems with them. I actually just got I think I talked about the life insurance policy that I had to get a couple of weeks ago. I got it from Primerica. So again, I share is that some of these programs actually give some type of value to the community or to a community. And I think we kind of underplay it because we see like, oh, it's multi-level marketing. And I think one of the problems that I see with multi-level marketing more so than anything is that they tell everybody, everyone in your family is one of your customers. No, they're not. That's a really bad sales tactic. Yeah. And I think why everybody hates it is like you get this random DM from somebody that you went to high school with or you went to college with, you haven't talked to in years. And they're like, hey, Courtney, how you doing? How you been? I'm like, hey, I'm good. How are you? Well, are you interested in an opportunity to make more money? Huh? I haven't talked to them in years. Like, so I think cultivating their market would be better for everyone, but I don't think they're inherently bad if they have an opportunity.
No, a lot of them have services you can use, like prepaid legal is a service you can use. Primerica is a service you can use. You know what I mean? So I'm not upset with the MLMs on that level. The level that you have to bring people into the organization that make money. You're not making the money off your talents. And that's the part that drives me absolutely berserk. Right? You're not even making your money off of selling the product. You're making your money by bringing people into the organization. So that's the thing about MLMs that drive me berserk.
Yeah, but I think
hold on real quick, folks. I want to bring this back to the original comment before we start to close out because we're almost at 1 hour and 30. Mm-hmm. Toya Cheek says, according to Forbes, 400 richest people all had degrees except 63 on the list. Most wealthy Black people come from HBCUs. I've seen something similar. Anybody have any thoughts on that?
I mean, that's fine. I mean, no one's saying that you don't get a degree, but we have to be purposeful about getting a degree. The things that we do have to have purpose, and it may not also be coming right out of high school because of the purpose, maturity, all of those things. And I think, again, there are certain situations where a degree may not serve someone well. We just talked about the HVAC person. I mean, it may not serve him well right now, but he may say, you know what? I have enough money that I can pay for college out of pocket. I have a girlfriend who paid for her MBA in cash. So we're not saying that these degrees are not necessary, they're not helpful, but I think we need to think about them differently and think about how they fit into our life plan and our wealth plan.
And also, I'd like to ask Mr. Toya, how many of those have social work degrees on that list? Right.
And my question that was, if you talk about the Forbes 400 richest list, a lot of that is old money, and we got to talk about how the expense of college has changed over the last couple of decades. So having a degree that you got back in 1960 is not the same as going to college in 2020. You know what I mean? So it's context to that too. But we're not saying degrees are worthless. We just got to be. I think the key word, which you said, is purposeful. And that's kind of what we're talking about.
All right, so can I cap it off for everybody in America that's Black? Go to HBCU for 1 year. I promise you won't regret.
Not everybody in America. Black Americans.
Every Black person in America. Every Black American.
Not everybody in America.
Every Black American.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie. When I was at Lincoln, there was a gentleman, a pale gentleman who got a scholarship and kind of used the minority thing. So they are at HBCUs. Let's put it that way. But I do agree that experience is priceless. HBCU experience is priceless.
All right, so we'll end it off there. So as we close out, I just want to say happy birthday to Malcolm X and Biggie Smalls. And Malcolm X said, I think we all can agree with this, and education is a passport to the future. So everybody, as we close out, right, one by one, tell everybody how we can either help or support you going forward in this next coming week. Starting with the lady, Courtney.
Oh. No, that's not fair. I wasn't ready. So I think I shared this last week. I am doing a Stocks 101 4-week intensive class. It's 8 classes that are live and replayed, all in the month of June. You can hit up my Instagram. I'm the Ivy Investor on Instagram. That's where you can find it. But I think my final thought is that self-education will make you a millionaire. So I think we need to focus on self-education as much as we do formal education.
All right, Corey.
We're at By the Hood. We also have a class. We do stocks, and we do fundamental analysis on stocks. And also we do we teamed up with a partner to do options at DYO. So to come holler at us there. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Holler at us there.
What's your YouTube channel, Corey?
By the Hood. We Buy the Hood everywhere. We Buy the Hood everywhere. If you go to YouTube and type in By the Hood, click, we there.
Okay. Jimmy?
Yeah, so what Corey said, basically, I like everybody to follow us also on Facebook, right? So, we're huge on Instagram, but we really haven't built up our Facebook or YouTube channel. So at By the Hood on YouTube, as well as Facebook, make sure you check us out there. And, I also want to say, don't let school get in the way of your education.
I'm Lee.
Malcolm X also said only a fool will let an enemy educate his children, right? But I will say that HBCUs. So right now I'm actually taking more real estate clients. If anyone has any real estate needs, you could definitely hit me up. Carter.malik@gmail.com. Everybody, please inbox DM Kamari also, because I got a project I'm waiting for him to get back to me on so we can get that wrapped up. I could use everybody's help to force Kamari to get busy in my project.
Moving right along. It's Carter.malik@gmail.com, right?
Yeah, there you go.
As y'all can see, Malik is definitely the antagonistic one in the group. Jeez Louise. Carter, it's Carter.Malik, right?
Carter.Malik, yeah.
Carter.Malik. Yeah, so y'all see what I got to deal with, right? Listen, I love Malik dearly. You always know where you stand with the guy. So Carter.Malik@gmail.com. All right, folks. So I'm going to end it off. My only ask is that you follow us, right? The Black Wealth Project. Follow the Black Wealth Project on YouTube, the Black Wealth Project on Instagram, the Black Wealth Project on Facebook, and the Black Wealth Pro 1 on Twitter as we go along. Remember, like Malik said, only a fool lets his enemy train his children, and future is determined by those who get educated today. Those are both said by Malcolm X. Stay tuned. Next week we'll be back. 7 p.m. The Black Wealth Project will air It's town hall meeting. Next week at 8 p.m. Excuse me, next week at 7 p.m. The town hall meeting will air. I'll see you all next week. Later, everybody.
Peace.
Peace.